Next news. Breaking news from the White House.
Breaking right now from the Oval Office, President Donald Trump just lit up Washington, and yes, he even aimed fire at Republicans in his own party. The issue is election integrity. The bill is the Save America Act, and Trump's message was brutally simple. Pass voter ID, require proof of citizenship, stop mass mail-in voting abuse, or stop hiding behind the filibuster. He said if Democrats ever get the opening, they will kill the filibuster in the first hour. So the question tonight is not whether Trump is serious. The question is this: who in the Senate is standing in the way of securing the vote before the next election cycle? Now, this matters to every legal voter watching because election rules decide whether your ballot is protected or diluted. The Save America Act is built around basic common sense: voter ID, proof of citizenship, and tighter limits on universal mail-in voting. None of that is extreme. In fact, Congresswoman Nancy Mace says over 80% of Americans support voter ID, including 95% of Republicans, even 70% of Democrats. See, that's not fringe. That's the public speaking clearly while the Senate drags its feet. The political stakes are enormous. One analysis highlighted by ElectionWiz says that the Save America Act could move Nevada from R+1 to R+6.3 and flip New Mexico from a D+4 to an R+3.3. Think about that. Not by changing voters, but by making the system harder to game. See, President Trump sees the window right now. Redistricting fights are active. Control of Congress is on the line, and the rules that govern federal elections are still up for grabs. If Republicans fail to act when they have the White House, the House, and the Senate, voters will remember exactly who froze when it counted. Before I go further, there's another major America First development tonight that connects directly to national security and Trump's push to rebuild this country from the ground up. Because the White House has just announced over $30 billion to secure America's critical mineral supply chains and named a specific Alaskan project as a key strategic asset for U.S. mineral independence. I've personally been to the Vizsla Copper drilling site in Canada myself. I have held the core samples with my hands. But what's happening right now in Alaska is bigger than most people realize because President Trump just unveiled Project Vault, a $12 billion strategic mineral reserve designed to stockpile essential resources and keep America strong, supplied, and independent. That puts companies like Vizsla Copper right at the center of this push. If you want to understand why this matters now, check the exclusive briefing, but it's only for Next News viewers. It's linked below. And remember this: Vizsla Copper trades in the U.S. under VCUFF and in Canada is VCU.V. It's right there on your screen. This is one that you should know. Now back to the fight in Washington, because what Trump said next should have every Senate Republican paying very close attention. See, this is the twist the establishment media does not want to emphasize. This is no longer just a policy dispute with Democrats. This is a test of whether Republicans will use power after voters gave it to them. Representative Troy Nehls says the Senate should nuke the filibuster and pass the Save America Act now. Representative Tim Burchett is openly demanding action and even tying it to term limits after Mitch McConnell appeared blindsided by questions over why the bill is being blocked. That tells you everything. The pressure is no longer building quietly. It is out in the open. Nick Sortor posting that President Trump going off on Senate Republicans in the Oval Office today for failing to terminate the filibuster and pass the SAVE Act. Ready for this? He did not hold back.
The filibuster, Mr. President, you posted a lot about wanting to eliminate the filibuster. It hasn't happened. Are you disappointed in leader?
No, I'm disappointed. I like John a lot, but he has a couple of Republicans that are foolish people. A couple of them I like, a couple of them I can't stand, actually, if you want to know the truth. Although I am, according to CNN, 100% approval within the Republican Party. That's better than your record, Gary. I'm at 100% approval. Did you see the CNN poll? Nobody talks about it. CNN, I think the people that did that poll probably got fired. But within the Republican Party and MAGA, which is basically 100% of the party, I think, but 100%. No, I think that, you're going to see some very interesting things. The filibuster, if you had it, we should have the Save America Act. We should have voter identification, voter ID. We should have proof of citizenship. We should have mail-in voting for the military and people that need it, but not for everybody. Because anytime you have mail-in voting, they're going to cheat. And they cheat like dogs. And they have to cheat. You know, in all fairness to the Democrats, when you have men and women sports, when you have open borders, when you have transgender mutilization, don't listen to this, kids, of your children, transgender mutilization of your children for everyone. When you have policies like that, you have to cheat. It's the only way they can win. And we shouldn't allow them to cheat. And we should terminate the filibuster, because if they get the chance, they'll do it in the first hour back.
Of course they will. We all know it. Trump torching the GOP holdouts and laid out exactly why he says the filibuster has to go. Here's a tighter cut from the Blaze zeroing in on his demand for voter ID, proof of citizenship, and end to mass mail-in ballots.
America Act. We should have voter identification, voter ID. We should have proof of citizenship. We should have mail-in voting for the military and people that need it, but not for everybody. Because anytime you have mail-in voting, they're going to cheat. And they cheat like dogs. And they have to cheat. You know, in all fairness to the Democrats, when you have men and women sports, when you have open borders, when you have transgender mutilization, don't listen to this, kids, of your children, transgender mutilization of your children for everyone. When you have policies like that, you have to cheat.
That's Trump's case in plain English. Democrats can't win on policy, so they need to loose election rules. Now comes the political math. Election Wizard highlights a WAPO report saying the SAVE Act could turn key states red. Washington Post bombshell. The Save America Act, proof of citizenship and voter ID could flip key states red. Nevada, R1 to R6.3, much safer. New Mexico, D+4 to an R+3.3, a complete flip in New Mexico. This is from Washington Post. The Save America Act could swing key states to the right. Estimated Republican two-party vote margin in percentage points before and after requiring registration documents. Look at that. That is massive. If that report is right, the pressure on Senate Republicans just got a lot hotter. Next, Tim Burchett goes straight at Mitch McConnell and says, pass the SAVE Act before talking about anything else, including term limits. He demands term limits after McConnell looks shocked when he's asked, why are you blocking the SAVE Act?
McConnell, can you give us some information on why you blocked the SAVE Act, or any information on your thoughts on what Rep. Tim Burchett said about staffers running your office? Any comments, sir?
Is he even there? Is he even alive? The message is simple. Quit blocking election integrity. Get out of the way. Congressman Troy Nehls picks up the same fight, saying the Senate should nuke the filibuster and pass the Save America Act. He writes, once again, the thing Democrats say never happens again. The Senate needs to nuke the filibuster and pass the Save America Act now. This is the headline he posts. 4 non-citizens charged with illegally voting in 2020, 2022, and 2024 federal elections in New Jersey. FBI Director Kash Patel announces the charges, saying the individuals voted across multiple election cycles. Nancy Mace brings the numbers, laying out how much public support voter ID already has. Over 80% of Americans support it, 95% of Republicans, 71% of Democrats. The American people, this is a no-brainer. The Senate needs to pass the Save America Act and get to the president's desk before midterms. The integrity of our republic depends on it. Over 80% of Americans support the Save America Act. So here's the real headline. See, Trump is not merely asking for a bill, he's drawing a line. He said Republicans should terminate the filibuster because Democrats would do exactly that the moment it served their agenda. He also said what millions of Americans already know from common sense. If you allow mass mail-in voting without strict limits, you open the door to abuse. As Trump put it, Democrats push policies so out of step with normal Americans, from open borders to men and women's sports, that cheating becomes the only path that they have left. That's why this fight is bigger than procedure. The filibuster is not sacred if it becomes the shield protecting a broken election system. The Save America Act is the test of whether the GOP actually intends to defend the country it was elected to save. So the bottom line is this: President Trump just did what real leaders do. He stopped pretending this can wait. He confronted the weak links in his own party and made clear that election integrity is not optional. Voter ID, proof of citizenship, limits on mail-in voting abuse. Those are not radical demands. Those are the minimum requirements of a serious republic. If Senate Republicans want to prove they deserve the America First base, they need to move now. Pass the Save America Act and put it on President Trump's desk. If you agree, share this report everywhere and make the establishment choke on the numbers. Drop a comment below and answer this yes or no. Should Senate Republicans end the filibuster to pass the Save America Act? Make sure you text raw feed to 844-840-4963. That's the number on the screen right there. That's how you bypass the algorithm suppression. Hundreds of patriots like you have already joined. They're getting the notifications that YouTube never sends directly from me to their phone. And check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. And as always, stay bold, stay loud, and stay unapologetically America First.
The system controls information. Information control is power. I don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.